Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I hope all of you are having a great day and, well, you are ready for today's show because here on Computer America, we have a lot of things going on today, including, well, for the first segment, if you didn't check out the show notes, we have Orivet on the program. That's right. We have we have rescheduled them. We have gotten them back on. And I'm really excited about this one because, you know, here at Computer America, we are huge animal lovers. And sometimes your furry friends, well, they come from, you know, CD Pass. They may come from, you know, shelters and things like that. And they may have a unique look to them. Here in the States, we call them the Great American Mutt. But it's not always clear exactly what your dog's, you know, heritage is. So here, you know, for DNA testing, and it has more than just, oh, that's fun to know. There are also health implications and things like that. So this is something very exciting. We've heard about it for humans, and we're happy to have Orivet on to talk about it for, well, your pets. And yeah, so we're going to jump into that for the first segment. In the second segment, we are going to be doing computer and technology news. And that is everything you need to know about technology. We have a lot of great stories, and hopefully we can get to at least a few of those. So a few things to mention, including computeramerica.com. That's where you will find anything and everything for today's show, including a link to our guest website, links to any articles, any videos, links to anything here, so that if you're driving, if you're working, if you were listening after the fact, don't worry about it. We have you covered. It's right there in the show notes. Let's see. Another thing would be the live video stream where you can watch Computer America, not just listen. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. We enjoy doing that. And then the last thing is, of course, the social media contests, which, by the way, such as today, every single Friday, we give away a prize to a lucky listener who has entered. And we're going to pick the winner, announce their name live on the air, and give them a prize from Logitech. That's right, we're giving away the M720 mouse. It's a $50 mouse. It's you know, control multiple devices, and oh so easy. So hey, check that out over at computeramerica.com. So with all that being said, why don't we just jump into our interview. So joining us, and you know, very glad that he can make it. We have Dr. Noam, and he is the CEO of Orivet Genetic Pet Care. Can't think of anyone else to explain to us why you should consider, you know, getting Orivet for your pet. So, Dr. Noam, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Our pleasure indeed. So, yeah, you know, and like I was saying, I think we've all gotten pets that's, you know, like there's a certain type of person that wants a pet from a breeder. They're known, they know the they know the generations of the animals going back 20 generations, but a lot of animals that we get, you know, do not come from such backgrounds. Instead, they're from shelters, they're strays, you know, they're just really a mystery to us, other than the dog that's sitting in front of us. So, you know, let's talk real quick about, you know, Orivet as a company. When did you guys get started, and what kind of, you know, started the idea of, you know, genetic pet testing?
Right. Well, I mean, Orivet has been around since 2011, so about 5 years and a bit now, almost 6 years. And the idea was to try to give pet owners information about their pets that is specific for their own pet. So to find out about their ancestry, to find out about their behavior, to find out about their risk for diseases and any sort of traits that you can identify from their DNA.
That is, that's obviously a tall order. I mean, I'm not, a scientist by any means, but I mean, can you really ascertain all that, all those kinds of things for genetic testing? Because like I know you get the obvious for, you can kind of guess that they have a predisposition to certain types of, of later in life, maybe medical problems, or you can tell their breed and things like that. But can you really get down to the personal things like behavior and whatnot of animals?
Yeah. A lot of the behavior that pets get have come from their breeds and their ancestry. So knowing a pet's ancestry, knowing their breeds, will give you a really good idea as to how they should behave. A lot of these breeds have been developed for specific tasks. So we know, for example, that Labrador retrievers will be really good with chasing things or playing with a ball. We know that some dogs have been developed for guarding, and they'll be very good at protecting and very protective of their environment and their owners. So that will give us some insights into their behavior. Definitely having an idea of a dog's ancestry will give you an idea of their personality, their behavior, and their traits. It will also tell us about their size. It will tell us whether they like water. It will tell us whether they are going to have any predisposition to certain medical conditions. And we can even go in and test specific diseases that we know are associated with certain breeds. So things like bleeding disorders, heart disease, cataracts, are all things that we can test and are included in a DNA test that will tell you about your dog, where it came from, how big it's going to get if it's a mixed breed dog. A lot of our customers are pet parents, we call them, of pets that have been adopted from shelters, and they really do want to find out a lot about their pet and find out what is the best way to connect with their pet and what is the best way to look after it.
Right, and I mean, I'd like to get your take real quick. Deviating from pets a little bit, but this has been a pretty hot topic issue for, at least here in America. It's mainly being pushed by another company, Ancestry.com. They're doing ancestry DNA tests. I mean, can you kind of say that, for pets, for people, for anyone, that genetic, testing, learning what makes you you or your pet, your pet, are there tangible benefits? Should this be done kind of baseline, but we're only now getting to the point where the technology is catching up to the science?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's always good to know and to be prepared for things, and to give you all the tools, or use all the tools that we have at our disposal to learn about our pet and learn about the best way to look after them. What really has changed and has brought this a lot more possible in recent years is really developments in genetic testing technologies that have really made testing a lot more affordable. Probably 10 years ago, one of these individual tests would cost, $200 to $300, whereas now we can screen for up to 100 different genetic diseases, including letting you know your breeds and traits for less than $100.
Wow!
So that's really opened up the door to everyone to be able to afford that, and to veterinarians to really start looking into the concept of personalized medicine and precision medicine, and sort of really looking into how they're going to incorporate that into their practices of general, healthcare.
Right. Yeah. This, and we're going to talk about the implications for vets here in a little bit, because it's this is certainly more than just, oh, did you know about my pet? This is this is going to be something actually useful down the line. So let's talk about, the service offered by Orivet. I mean, you have a genetic testing, obviously. Are there multiple kinds of genetic testing that you do? Like, is there, you pay for the lowest one and will tell you what the heck your dog is, and you pay for the next one up and you get your diseases? I mean, what services does Orivet provide?
Yeah, you pretty much covered it. So we have a few different packages for pet owners. The very basic one is really only finding out what breeds you have in your dog. So what is the breed makeup of an individual dog? And that's really useful for your mixed breeds, because we have no ancestry, and it's the same as your family history, really. I mean, having an idea of where your family came from will give you an idea about, all these things we talked about. So the first and the simplest test is probably just a breed identification test, we call it. Some people like to do that even for their purebred dogs, just to verify if they don't have their pedigree papers. So that's a very basic test. And then you have other tests that are more focused on disease screening and traits testing. For example, how your dog might be handling certain types of medications, whether they're going to have a reaction to that, and things like that. So they're really the two different tiers. Some of the dogs, if they know what breeds they are, they can just go ahead and order the genetic sort of disease screen, we call it. We call it the genetic attributes profile. And then most of our DNA testing comes with what we call a personalized life plan that takes a lot of factors into account, not only their genetics, but also their lifestyle, their age, their weight, their sex, because we know these factors will also affect, their risk profile and hence, the way we focus on different things about their healthcare.
Right. Yeah. And, this is a personal story, but, when I was looking to adopt a dog, a couple of years ago, and I have a strong preference for a type of dog called a Newfoundland. I think they're just some of the best dogs. So of course I went out looking for rescues of that breed. And yeah, and I swear I have a point I'm going with this, but I found one in South Florida, and I clicked on the picture because it didn't look right. And this dog was as pit bull could be. I mean, it had the broad chest, it was squat, it had the big blockish head. I mean, nothing against pit bulls, but it was labeled as a Newfoundland. And I went in to read the description, and it said that we had, Buster tested genetically for breeds, and it said it was 99% pit bull, 1% Newfoundland. And I thought, wow, that's really stretching it. So my question for you is, I mean, you've been doing this for a couple of years now. How has the reception been by the owners? Like, and speaking specifically towards the, the type of dog testing, does anyone ever get their results and go, not in a million years would I thought that, these breeds made up my dog?
Yeah, you know what? That does happen. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen, and it's an interesting question because it's there is always this misconception that the parent breeds will sort of give you an idea of how the offspring is going to look like if it's a mixed breed dog, and we find that a lot of that is really not true, and it sort of doesn't hold water in. Looking at a mixed breed dog, you always have what we call genotype, and that's their DNA or their genetic makeup, and then there is that phenotype or what is expressed as an individual. For example, the size of a dog is only one gene, so you may have a reasonably small dog or a large dog where the parents might be a different size. Mm-hmm. Some colors, for example, are really dominant. All your black colors would be very dominant, and they will come out in most mixed breed sort of offsprings if one of the parents carry these genes. So similar to humans, you might have, like a half caste that is not typically looking like the parents. But on the whole, the tests are very accurate, especially when they're looking at your most common breed.
Right.
There are probably several hundred breeds that have sort of listed, and the DNA test cannot identify all of them. Our DNA test is probably the most comprehensive and covers around about 250 breeds.
Not bad. Yeah.
We also found that some breeds are different in different regions and different countries. So, for example, the genetic signature of a Labrador Retriever may be different in Australia, the United Kingdom, or in the US. So some of the geographic variation would also affect some of their results. So it can be a little bit confusing, especially if you have a breed that is not on the list.
Yeah.
The breed makeup genetic test is more of a statistical sort of model analysis, and then trying to find the best fit for that individual. And some of the real mixes can be a challenge for that type of test.
Right. But it's, I'm sure it's one of those things where, the longer that you do this, the more data that you get, you build up that database, and you get more and more accurate as time goes by. So, no, makes perfect sense. So let's talk
Absolutely.
about, yeah, and moving on to the, to the life plan. This is, again, it's a lot like knowing your pet's breed. Yeah, you can kind of Google it and say, oh, well, Newfoundlands are prone to hip dysplasia, so keep weight off them and things like that. But you offer, I think, something a little bit more in depth. So can you talk about, what is the life plan? Is this something for vets? Is this something for owners? And what are the benefits of getting one?
Right. Well, I mean, the life plan is really a revolutionary tool that looks at computer algorithms that will basically get a lot of information about the pet from the pet owner and their genetic makeup to build a risk profile and build a life plan for that pet. So the life plan takes into account things like the genetic makeup, the age, the weight, the sex, and as I said, a lifestyle questionnaire that the pet owner fills. And that gives us an idea of what that pet might be predisposed to. The algorithm goes through a whole list of possibilities and starts ruling things out based on the mode of inheritance. So some diseases, for example, will not be possible in a mixed breed dog. They are only seen in purebred dogs and cannot happen in a mixed breed dog. So this information is then conveyed to the pet owner in a pretty unique sort of online platform that they can log in and see all their risks. They can see the different signs of clinical signs they need to be on the lookout. And they are sharing that information with their veterinarian. So, for example, those dogs that are predisposed to hip dysplasia, there will be a recommendation to consider a hip x-ray at the time of maybe when they're desexed, when they're anesthetized for that. Mm-hmm. So you have an idea whether they do have hip dysplasia or not, and if they do, then obviously there are things that they can do to try to manage or prevent this condition. For example, keeping the weight off or certain type of nutritional adjustments to look after their joints. So, and it will be the same for other conditions like there is a condition called dry eye or cataracts, and that would warrant an investigation or at least just letting the owners know what to look out for. And as we know, early detection is really the key in all of that, and personalized medicine really is an approach to make medical decisions based on the information for that individual pet. Yeah. So I think the most exciting benefit is switching to prevention and early detection rather than being more of a reactive medicine, which is what tends to happen now. Most of our medicine is relatively reactive. We're waiting for pets to actually develop medical problems before we address them. And with the life plans and personalized medicine, We're looking at being proactive. We're looking to seek to use the pet's own circumstances to predict the problems before they arise, and then craft a meaningful sort of health plan, one that is entirely customized to the need of that individual pet. And as I said, the goal really is to identify things before they become problematic while we have the most options available to us for prevention or management.
Yeah, no, and for anyone out there watching the video portion of the program, we actually have you have an image up on your website, orivet.com, and it's an image of, you know, kind of the dashboard for the life plan, where you kind of say the health alerts, and you kind of say at what ages the health alerts, you know, really start to, you know, become something that you should keep an eye on. You know, and kind of looking through, you know, the different ones. You have profile, health, nutrition, life plan, schedule, things like that. So, you know, obviously it goes pretty in depth, and it's kind of like having a dashboard for your dog. Very, you know, very comprehensive. So, and I mean, you know, we're gonna get into the service in just a moment, but let's talk about, you know, using the product and then how to get the most out of it. So, I assume that you need the DNA. There are a lot of different sources for DNA. How, you know, how do you collect that, or how do the pet owners collect that?
Well, we are using a very simple cheek swab. So they're kind of like very small brushes that you get. So when you order any of our DNA testing, you will be receiving in the mail a package that will have these DNA collection brushes, and it would have a barcode, and it would have a self-addressed envelope to send the kit back to us. So it's very simple to collect the DNA. You just put the little brushes into your pet's sort of mouth, just above the gum line. You kind of twitch a bit of skin around the gums, and then just swirl it around, collect some cells. You then allow it to dry. So it comes with a little stand that you just, you know, stick the brush into, and allow it to dry for a few minutes, and then you just put them in the envelope. And then you walk to your computer, you basically enter the barcode number and activate the kit, and then you can post the kit back to us, and you will get your results within usually 10 to 14 days from the time the sample arrives back at our laboratory.
Not too bad, not too bad. And oh, and by the way, I really feel like we aren't making this, or we haven't made it clear yet. Obviously, you know, we're huge into dogs here, myself, but this is for cats as well, right? Like, you know, everything we're talking about applies to cats.
Yes, it does. You can get a DNA test for disease screening and a life plan for most common cat breeds. Unfortunately, we don't have a good breed identification test for cats at this stage. We are working on it, but cats are a little bit more of a challenge. They're a bit more uniform, and it's a little bit more difficult to identify exact breeds
Right.
in cats.
Yeah, well, you know, unfortunately, we have not really bred cats to really do a job like we have dogs. So you don't have those, you know, kind of stand, like, you know, we don't have like a sled pulling cat. We don't have you know, a guard cat. It's just kind of not really their nature. But no, the disease check is still very, very, very important. So, all right, so we've collected the DNA. We have sent it off. We got the results back. So after that, I guess you then upload everything to an account at Orivet, or is there a smartphone app? How do people access the information?
So when you post the results back, the samples back, you will get an email confirming that we've received the results. And in that meantime, we ask you to fill that lifestyle questionnaire to let us know a little bit more about your pet. Where do they go, and all of that. Whether you go hunting with their dog, and just helping us, you know, building that risk profile. When all of that is ready, you will have a login, and then you can log into your account, and you can see the pet account. You can see all the information that we've gathered about your pet. There is a tab on health and the health risks. It records all your concerns that you put in your questionnaire, but also information about your dog's weight and all the 10 most likely sort of heritable conditions for your pet. You can read about what are the screening suggestions, what are the signs to look out for, and you can delve more into each individual sort of condition. You can also directly from that pet account request screening with your dog, or if there's any screening that has been done, you can update that information. You can look at all the routine care for your pet, including their annual vaccinations, and there is information about what is recommended for your pet in your specific areas. Mm-hmm. Some areas would have more need to cover your pet against ticks than others, and the different types of medication you may use for that. And then once that life plan is sort of been reviewed with your veterinarian, you can finalize reminding alerts to you to make you aware that your pet is due for anything that you have put in that plan.
Right.
There is also a nutritional page that gives you a lot of information, including your daily energy requirements. You can watch your pet's weight and then record any information such as adverse food reactions and anything that you're using with your pet to treat certain conditions or any dental sort of products that you're using. So you kind of get one stop where you can manage all your pet's sort of information and needs.
No, yeah, and I guess my next question, it's I kind of learned it by poking around your website, but you think that genetic testing would be a big enough chore for anyone, but I see here that in your store, besides the genetic testing services that you provide, you also have a line of products, and I'm kind of curious. You have things like shampoo, litter, food. I think what are these products? Like, did you partner with someone to kind of say these are the best products for your pet, or I mean, what is this kind of more retail side of Orivet?
Right. So I guess that what we have always tried to do is try to match the needs for individual pets to different types of really all natural products that we would use for our own pets. And so if we identify, for example, that a dog might be predisposed to allergies or to any skin conditions, then we may recommend certain products. So we're very careful with the partners that we choose to I guess, help bring some of these solutions to pet owners. And it's more of an ancillary. It's not obviously not our core business, but it's right. It's something that we like to support pet owners by bringing to their attention some products that we feel would naturally be able to help them with some of these heritable sort of conditions. Some of these are just fun, like really safe balls or safe toys that they can use and things like that.
Right. Yeah. It's obviously nothing too extreme, but I guess for a lot of people, hey, it's good to know that obviously if you trust Orivet to identify your pet, you may also trust them to get an anti-itch spray or something like that. Obviously. So. And Dr. Noam, I have to say that we're just about up against the break. Would you mind staying over for like 5 minutes to wrap this up?
Sure, not at all.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. So yeah, and so when we come back, we are going to talk about some things, including like how vets can use the information that you get about your pet, and in their healthcare. We'll see if vets can maybe kind of use this information to a better extent. We're going to talk about cost, and we're going to talk about maybe people who see this as a business venture, and like breeders and things like that. So yeah, and again, we are joined by Dr. Noam Pick. He is the CEO of Orivet Genetic Pet Care. So yeah, we'll be right back. More Computer America and more interview stories, and of course our contest winner right after this. Stay tuned, and hey, it'll be a lot of fun.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 31 minutes past the hour as we, give a proper send-off to Orivet genetic pet testing. And we have Mr. Noam Pick here with us. And yeah, we're going to talk about, some of the finer details here. And Noam, I think a good place to kind of start here is, of course, vets and veterinarians. This is, I'm sure, something that they would have appreciated, a long time ago. And, obviously they can, I think if enough people had this kind of information, it would make their jobs a lot easier as well, to be more, like you said, more proactive instead of reactive when it comes to, people's pets. So vets, where do they fit into all this?
Right. Well, absolutely. I think the most important thing is switching our current, medicine model from being reactive, exactly as you said, to being proactive, and really actually developing a plan for an individual pet based on their risk, and then being able to detect things early. And that is really the area of most excitement in veterinary medicine today. It's the switch to precision medicine, the switch to making medical decisions and screening based on the individual sort of risk. So veterinarians are embracing this concept and are really starting to use those tools to identify the risk, and then go together with the pet owner, be on the lookout, and really be able to identify, things that are very high on the list for that individual pet. So the idea is really to work together with your vet. It is a partnership. You may very well know that your pet has a high risk for something, but you really do need to be able to provide screening to pet owners to be able to achieve that early detection.
Right. Yeah, and we're going to get into how this helps breeders as well. But one thing that we haven't talked about yet is cost. And you have made a couple mentions that a couple years ago this would have been prohibitively expensive. But what are you kind of what have you gotten the price down to for the for the breed thing and for the the disease screening?
Right. So usually the disease screen is about $125. The breed identification test, including the life plan, is $79. So, and we have combos that you can choose to do both disease screen and breed identification if you have a mixed breed dog, and that's about $170. So that's really the price, the range.
Yeah, not too bad.
We have obviously, yeah.
I'm sorry. Go on.
I think that's really. I mean, if you already know your breeds and you're not interested in doing the full DNA screen, you can simply order a life plan at a lower cost. I think it's $50 to just get all that information and get access to the risk algorithm and life plan.
Right. Yeah, and it's of course not that expensive. I mean, $80, $120. Obviously something that can give you a lot of insight to your dog that you really would, or your cat that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So very, very important. And now, yeah, and just
we feel it's a life.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I am just saying we feel it's a very good once-off investment in your pet to really find out what is the better or the best way to look after them.
Yeah, no, right, because your DNA, your genetics, they do not change over the years. So your pet tested 5 years ago is the same pet that it is today. So very, very important. So
exactly.
And this next one, I mean, we have one of our dogs. We have 5 of them. It's ridiculous, but one of our dogs, we rescued him because his owner, he bought him as a breeder, and he wanted to breed Wheaton Scottish Terriers. So they're blonde Scottish Terriers. They're pretty rare. He liked that expressive phenotype, as you just said. He liked that they were blonde. That's not common, but the owner of the dog didn't give papers. Didn't give anything, and so instead of breeding him and trying to get more blonde Scotties, I don't want to talk about what he did, but essentially, we had to rescue him. So, I mean, how can you help breeders with situations where maybe you don't have, those papers that say that this pet has this lineage? Like, do you help breeders in any kind of way?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in fact, breeders are probably our number one clients because responsible breeders have a really great opportunity to make sure that they are producing pets, essentially, or new puppies that are free from disease. And the main tool we put in their hands is the ability to screen parents for diseases before they breed with them. Generally speaking, the actual pedigree papers are being issued by the AKC, or the American Kennel Club.
Mm-hmm.
They have registry of all the parent breeds, and what they do is they simply confirm that these are the parents of that offspring, and if they can satisfy themselves that the mother and the father are the son and the dam are pure breeds, then they would issue pure breed certificates. Some of the kennel clubs around the world and in America as well are now getting into requesting breeders to screen for disease before they breed, to actually make sure that they are doing the responsible thing and are using everything at their disposal to make sure that the dogs that they breed are free from disease. So that is an ongoing process, and we are constantly working with breed clubs and the kennel clubs themselves to encourage DNA testing for purebred dogs before they breed them.
Right. Yeah, it's very, very important, of course. And, it sounds like that you are really providing that tool that's, again, up until a couple years ago was something that only, deep pockets or really, really, really curious people, were only into. But now I think, you have certainly gotten to a point where anyone can kind of do this kind of thing. So, yeah, and just talk about the future of Orivet, of genetic pet testing. How do you see all this playing out?
Well, we're very excited about the opportunities that DNA testing can offer both breeders to help make sure that the dogs that we're breeding are healthy and are not going to cause anyone any problems in the future. But also for pet owners to really get to know their pet a little bit more, get to know what risks they might have, and what is the best way to really look after them that is going to be cost effective and is going to be really personalised to the individual pet. So we're very excited about the opportunities for the future, and really looking at giving tools to people to connect with their pets and do the right thing if they are breeding.
Right. Yep. And of course, speaking of the future, I think that about does it for this interview. I think we've covered a lot. And Dr. Noam, if as long as we didn't miss anything, I want to say thank you for coming on to Computer America and telling us about this. And again, as to the future, if you come out with another product or have anything else to announce, please come on back to Computer America, and we'd love to have you back on.
That'll be great. I've enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And everyone, once again, Orivet, ORIVET.com. We have a link over at Computer America directly to the website. If you're interested, I know that I have one dog. Looks like a couple different dogs put together. I'm probably going to do this myself. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, everyone, Orivet.com. And Dr. Noam Pick, thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Hey.
All right, there you go. So, everyone, Orivet, check it out, computeramerica.com. And I think with that, we have a couple of things to do. And by the way, if you missed any part of today's show, please be sure to check out computeramerica.com, where we have the video, the audio archives, as well as podcasts. And you can find us on places like iHeartRadio. You can find us on the Google Play, iTunes, lots and lots of different places. Check us out really anywhere. We try to make it easy to do that. All right. So with that being said, before we jump into computer and technology news, though, check this out. We have a winner for this week's contest. And again, this week's contest brought to you by Logitech, and we are doing the M720 Logitech mouse. Yeah, it's a great prize. And actually, I didn't do that right. Here we go. Well, I actually don't have that one. I need to go get that one. All right, but yeah, the M720 Logitech mouse. And this week's winner is, check us out. Yeah, nothing. This week's winner is Mr. Michael Chevrolet. I am hoping I'm saying that right. Chevrolet, Mr. Michael Chevrolet, he listens to us in Westland, Michigan. So, Michael, thank you so much for listening to Computer America. Congratulations on winning. And everyone, if your name is not Michael, well, we could be calling your name next week to give away a prize. And all you have to do, head on over to Computer America, and actually right there on the right of the homepage is the Gleamio app that you can enter the contest. It's a lot of fun, very simple, and hey, we could be reading your name as well. Oh, and by the way, he won to us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. That's right, a lot of different ways to enter. All right, so yeah, and by the way, the email's already sent, the wheels are turning, and as soon as he gets back to us, the prize will be sent out. Just that simple. All right, so with that being said, why don't we jump into computer and technology news? And here we go. And so, for today's computer and technology news, we have a lot of different stories. Let's pull a couple up here. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get to all of them, but let's do the big ones. And I think a good place to start off, we're going to do this one. And for anyone not paying attention for any reason, well, here we have NASA. You know them. They're a great organization. And they want you to record the solar eclipse with an app for your smartphone. And this is something that has been happening for a number of years now, and it's kind of like the citizen scientists. That's what they're calling it. Ordinary people who want to go out and collect data, because think about it, there's only so many scientists in the world, doing so many things. Well, you can't beat a crowdsourced audience. You can't beat millions of people with millions of phones tracking the same event. It's, obviously NASA is calling on everyone to, kind of help the cause. And with enough people, they get data that they would otherwise never be able to capture. So here we go. And this coming to us from Engadget. Miss Swapna Krishna, and chances are that by now you've heard of the full solar eclipse that will happen across the continental United States on August 21st, 2017. And, I feel like this is kind of what's making it a bigger deal, at least for obviously Computer America, is that it's happening across like right through the middle of the United States. Sometimes it happens in like Australia, Northern Africa, Europe, China, but this one, I mean, we have front row tickets. It's great. So, with that being said, NASA is enlisting the help of all citizen scientists where they want to help record data during the eclipse. And temperature and cloud conditions can change rapidly during an eclipse. Animals will fall silent while it's occurring. Scientists know that these events will happen, but they don't know the hows of it. And that's where they're calling the people from all over the continent for help. Where scientists want help in determining how many temperatures actually drop during an eclipse. So you don't have to be in the path of totality, which is where the sun is fully eclipsed by the moon. And instead, to participate in this experiment, you will be anywhere in America during the eclipse. And you have to download the Globe Observer app. And next, you'll be able to sign up for free. And then the app will walk you through the rest. And they even have a video to show you what else. But they say that the Globe Observer program has been around for a while. And currently, you can only submit observations of clouds and mosquito habitats. And they've been planning on expanding its program, and they said that this seems like a perfect opportunity. So, yeah, this is, again, another way for scientists to gather more data, again, in a way that they really wouldn't have had an opportunity to do otherwise. So, I thought that was cool. Definitely a cool way to use, hey, technology that we all have in our pockets. All right, so let's see. There was a story that I really wanted to get to, and I really wanted to actually try something new here on the program, where I actually wanted to get some feedback from the audience. Where you think, hey, we're a talk show, we're accessible. You think we do this more often, and we just might. But one story that I really wanted to get everyone's take on was, it was not that one. Oh man, I just had it. Here it is. I found it. All right, so this one also coming to us from Engadget, and again, special note, I would really appreciate to kind of hear back from Computer America listeners, where and please, we read everything from our YouTube comments to our Facebook post to Twitter to, of course, emails at live@ComputerAmerica. Any way that you feel best would be to communicate with us. But here's the story that I really wanted, your guys' opinion on, because, science fiction, it is what it is, but it does put notions in our head. And Delta, them, they do airplanes and airplane-related things. Well, they aim to replace boarding passes with fingerprints. And, I've taken a couple flights in the past couple of years. Boarding passes have not gotten very complicated. It's, you print them out right there for like $5, or you pull them up on your smartphone, which, hey, you're carrying around anyways. I mean, boarding passes are super simple. But now Delta is thinking about replacing them again with your fingerprints, something that is not replaceable, something that is easily trackable, something that is not disposable. So here's where I kind of wanted all of your feedback on this. So let's go through the article, and then again after the show, please feel free to let us know. And of course, we'll read this probably on Monday when we'll talk about, hey, your feedback, your reaction, because again, my gut reaction isn't a good one. So here we go. Delta is expanding its biometric check-in feature that allows some customers to use fingerprints instead of a boarding pass, where the service was first launched at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in May, and let Delta SkyMiles members enter the Delta Sky Club with their fingerprints, rather than a physical identification. And now those members can use their fingerprints to board the plane. So the airline is partnering with Clear for the service, and SkyMiles members just have to enroll with Clear in order to take advantage of the DCA. And here's a quote. This is coming from Delta's Chief Operating Officer. Quote, "It's a win-win program. Biometric verification has a higher level of accuracy than paper boarding passes and gives agents more time to assist customers with seat changes and other skilled tasks instead of having to scan individual tickets. And customers have less to keep track of as they travel through the airport." Again, I'm not too certain it's that complicated to keep track of, either A, a slip of paper, or B, your smartphone. But yeah, so earlier this year, of course, they have begun testing facial recognition as well, and that can play into it. And that was with the Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport, saying that it's not only the groups looking to use biometric for airport identification, where you have the United States is looking at a widespread facial recognition-based security plan, and Australia looking to do the same thing, but with face, iris, and fingerprint recognition. That's right, all of this biometric data. So Delta says that the next step for the DCA fingerprint rollout is to allow passengers to use their fingerprints for baggage check. So essentially, they're going to build up a profile for you, and your password, your username and password, would essentially be your fingerprint. So they said that once we've completed testing, customers throughout our domestic network could start seeing the capability in a matter of months, not years. Delta really is delivering the future now. And again, that coming from the Chief Operating Officer. So again, we'd like to hear from the audience to, kind of get your point on this. This seems like one of the biggest stories of the day. And obviously, I don't want to sit here in a vacuum as I talk about these stories. I want people's opinions, but I get the argument for convenience, but you're giving up so much more privacy, it feels like, than the payoff in convenience. Because, this is a battle as long as the ages. Think cookies for your browser, think, passwords and things like that. I mean, when you give up privacy, you get a lot of convenience. There's no doubt about that. But I have no problem giving over a username, password, and then, tracking cookies as compared to fingerprints, which I can't change. You can't throw away your fingers like you could your smartphone if you feel that, if you feel the need to. And once they have this, once this company called Clear has this in their databases, I mean, just like with Ancestry.com, just like with a lot of different services, you don't technically own your own biometric data. They can sell it, they can trade it, they can compile it, they can compare notes with other databases. I mean, this is really the entryway into a large database. And yes, it feels like conspiracy. It feels like I'm spouting conspiratory, mumbo jumbo. But once they have your iris scan, your facial recognition scan, and your fingerprints, they could identify you in any situation, without your permission, without even knowing, they could have your location anytime, anywhere. And that's the future that we're fast approaching. So let me know, please, social media, what have you, email, if you feel that this doesn't matter because we're already past that point, or this is freaky and scary and Delta needs to cut it out. But please let us know. All right. So we have time for just about one or two more stories, and let's do let's do some high points because, again, we have lots of different stories. You can check out Computer America for some of the ones that we are not going to be able to get to, but one that this one is kind of happy news for the company that owns the world. That, of course, being Microsoft. And, well, Microsoft they have a lot of money. At least they're looking up. Where Microsoft, their fourth quarter in 2017, the Office 365 revenue surpasses traditional licenses. So, cloud remains strong, and Windows is surprisingly up as well. And the fourth quarter of the 2017 financial year, Microsoft posted revenue of $23.3 billion with a B. That's a lot of billions, up 13% on a year ago, with an operating income of about 5.3, a net income of about 6.5 billion, and earnings per share up about 83 cents, which is up about 112%. A good time to own Microsoft. Bill Gates is once again securely the richest man in the world. So, for the full 2017 financial year, revenue was about $90 billion, and operating income was about 22.3. So, and they said that essentially they're earning a lot more money than they're spending. Good place to be as a company. But where does this come from? And currently, they are reporting 3 different segments, including productivity and business processes, which is Skype, Microsoft Office, Exchange, things like that. Intelligent Cloud, which is Azure, and by the way, Azure is huge. It's right up there with Amazon Web Services. Windows Server, SQL Server, Visual Studio, and Enterprise Services, and more personal computing, which is things like Windows, Xbox, and things like that. So, as was the case the last quarter, pretty much everything was up, including LinkedIn, which, by the way, Microsoft did purchase. And I'm not going to go into, all of the minute details, but just say that, we have a link in the show notes to the article, but everything was up billions of dollars in terms of revenue. Even gaming was up, even Xbox, which by all accounts is still doing pretty bad. They said that it was up about 3% and about 11% increase in the Xbox software and services revenue, where Xbox Live monthly active usership was also up with about 53 million people. Not too shabby. So with that being said, it looks like Microsoft, they're not going anywhere, as if anyone was even contemplating that, but they are doing well. So, I don't think we have time to do another one, but some other stories that you should definitely check out in your spare time, if you have any. We have things like Lyft is developing its own self-driving car technology to compete with Uber. And as we know, we've been following Uber's self-driving car ambitions, and Uber has had a lot. Uber has had this thing where they've been testing their services, and then all I can think about is that sedan on its back or, on its roof flipped over, and now that's what I consider Uber's self-driving car ambitions. It's a wreck right now. They're trying, but it's not easy. But Lyft is looking to do the exact same thing. Some other things include Verizon. They are in some hot water.
90 seconds.
There we go. Verizon is in some hot water for throttling Netflix and YouTube, and admits to some video optimization, and the customers really feel that the optimization is optimizing away from their competitors' services. So, yeah, net neutrality. This is why net neutrality exists, and we're seeing a real-world example of it.
60 seconds.
So yeah, we had more things about the FCC, about them and their comments, about them and their attacks and things like that. But we'll have to get to that another time. So one last time, I want to thank, of course, Orivet for joining us on the program. A lot of fun talking about pet and genetic testing. And everyone, check out computeramerica.com for anything and everything that you need to know. So we'll catch you back, same time, same place, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, here on Computer America. Catch you then. Bye-bye, everyone.
Ten seconds.